Okay, picking up with our third major type of tissue is muscle tissues. And these are the tissues that have cells that are specialized for contraction. And they all can turn chemical energy of ATP into the mechanical energy of movement. The main component of muscle tissue is the muscle cell or myocyte. Myo means muscle, cyte is cell, and they are all excitable. They will respond to a stimulus. Now, the first major type of muscle tissue is skeletal muscle tissue, and you find this attached to the skeleton, and it produces body movement. The cells are striated, which means they're striped. And if you look at them, you can see the stripes on the cells. Okay, they're long and thread-like, and that's why they're called fibers, because they're long and thread-like. You're looking at 1, 2, 3 fibers here. They are voluntary. We consciously control them. And they're very long. They sometimes go the length of the entire muscle. And so you've got some that are attached up on the hip, and they wrap around the inside of your leg and go down to below your knee. And those are some fibers that are very, very long. And we'll talk about this a lot more in chapters 9 and 10. Cardiac muscle tissue is the second type of muscle tissue, and the only place that you find this is in the heart. And again, the cells are striated. If you look over here at this picture, you can really see the striations here. You see them? Those are all striations. They're short and they're branched. Do you see how this cell right here, this is one cell that's branched, and then it branches again and goes this way? So they're branched, they're short. There's usually just one nucleus in the cell. They have intercalated disc. Those little lines that you see there, those are intercalated disc, and those join the muscle cells together. And that allows the heart to work together, all the cells, and contract as a unit. Now I want to go back one slide because there's one thing I didn't mention to you. And that's that skeletal muscle is what we called multinucleate. There are many, and this is one word, multinucleate. They have many nuclei in a cell. You see, there's lots of nuclei in the cells there, whereas cardiac muscle are uninucleus. They have one nucleus in the cell. Now, the third type of smooth muscle is, or third type of muscle tissue is smooth. And this one is different from the other two because it's involuntary, just like cardiac muscle is. It has no striations, though. So it's not like skeletal or smooth as far as that goes. You find this in the walls of almost every hollow organ in your body, in your blood vessels, your eyes, your skin, and they are very flat, and they usually just have one central nucleus. And they're kind of spindle shaped. They're shaped kind of like a cigar or a spindle. And they have one nucleus per cell. So they're involuntary. They're lining hollow organs and blood vessels. They have no striations. Cardiac, striated, cells are branched, connected by intercalated disc. It's involuntary, and it is found in the heart. Skeletal is voluntary and striated, and it attaches to the bones. Those are your three types of muscle tissue. The last major type of tissue is nervous tissue, and this is going to be found in the brain, spinal cord, and the nerves. And there are two main cell types. There's the neurons, which are the actual cells of the nervous system that send and receive messages. And what you're looking at here, this dark area with the little fibers extending off of it, those are the nerve cells or the neurons. And then scattered around all those neurons are the neuroglial cells. And those have a lot of different functions. They support and protect and help out the neurons. They keep it safe. The extracellular matrix is different. There are very unique proteoglycans in the ground substance that you don't find anywhere else in the body, and they don't have very many protein fibers. So that concludes the discussion of the 4 major types of tissue: epithelial, connective, muscle, and nervous. But we need to talk about membranes a little bit. These are thin sheets of one or more tissues that line a body surface or a cavity. Usually they have a superficial epithelial layer, and it sits on top of a connective tissue layer. And sometimes they have some smooth muscle in them. These are the functions. They anchor the organs in place. They're barriers. They're working with our immunity as well as secretion. Now, a true membrane does not open to the outside of the body. These would be serous membranes, and they line the pericardial cavity where your heart sits, the peritoneal cavity where your abdominal organs sit, and the pleural cavity. You have 2 of those because you've got 2 lungs, and they sit in the pleural cavities. They fold on themselves, so they give the appearance of being 2 layers. Think about putting your fist in a balloon, and Lord knows I'm not an artist, but there's your fist, okay? And here's the balloon around your fist, and you blow it up, okay? There's your balloon. Okay, the 2 layers, you've got 1 layer that lines this cavity, so that would be the external layer. That is, then it folds in on itself, and it goes around your fist, actually on the surface of your fist. That's serous membranes, how they line our cavities. And they help to reduce friction because there's movement that's going to occur within these membranes. They secrete a fluid, a watery fluid that helps to decrease friction. Synovial membranes are another type of true membranes. These line the cavities in your joints, and they have 2 connective tissue layers. The outer layer is loose and dense, irregular, and the inner layer has these synoviocytes, these cells that make synovial fluid, which is lubricant in the joints. So true membranes, we have serous membranes, pericardial, pleural, and peritoneal, and then you have synovial membranes around your joints. We also have membrane-like structures. Here we're talking about mucous membranes and cutaneous membranes. They are not true membranes. Now your mucous membranes, this lines anything that opens to the outside of the body. Your respiratory passages, your nose, your mouth, anus, vagina, all those passages are lined with mucous membranes, and they have goblet cells that secrete mucus, and of course, therefore, protection. The skin is called the cutaneous membrane. And of course, the outer layer is keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. We call it the epidermis. And then underneath that is the dermis, which is the purpley looking area that you see under the basement membrane. So it's all this stuff That's the dermis. And that's where the blood vessels are that house that epithelial epidermis.